right, it's Chris McMurry. We're back on the Radical journey, and we're here with Tom Drewer, who's Director of the Americas for Radical. Radical is like on fire right now. There's 10 different regions in the world that have cup races, series going on. And then in the US and Canada, there's 4 more. What is driving this incredible growth?
Honestly, Chris, I just think it's as simple as the car being so accessible to people that are coming into the sport. I mean, you know what it's like to jump into an SR3 for the first time. I think unlike some of the other cars that are out there, open wheelers, even GT cars, that tend to feel very on edge until you get them really up on the tire, get the brakes hot and everything else. The Radical is just so confidence inspiring, even rolling out a pit lane, that newcomers can be quite intimidated by the looks of the car, obviously being a prototype, but get in and feel comfortable. And then of course for guys like yourself, others that have been around this sport for a long time, driven lots of different things, jumping into a car, they're quite amazing. How hard you can push them under the braking zone, the downforce levels, the performance. You know, when we've had guys like Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, Ryan Hunter-Ray, Montoya, Button, the list goes on, when those guys have got into these cars, they have just been absolutely amazed at the performance.
Yeah, it is an awesome car to drive, and so we're focused a bit on Radical North America Cup. We just passed up the midpoint of the season. We're 4 rounds in of 6. We've got Toronto and Sonoma left. And to your point, in our 3 classes of racing, we've got loads of kids who've entered the series. And I can say personally in the 1340 class, to your point about people can hop in these cars and learn them very rapidly. I've been battling 2 young guys who I think have under a year or two's experience, and they are very rapid. And in fact, one of them, Blake McGovern, won this weekend. So let's talk a little bit about how the season's going and how the point standings are in each of the different classes. Why don't we start with the top class, which is Platinum.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, the competition has just continued to grow. I think that's been the other big attraction to the series, has just been how year after year we've seen a growth in the level of driving, and that's come throughout this weekend, and as you mentioned, throughout the other few races. A big weekend here, of course, with Chip Roma taking his first win. Mm-hmm. But it really is the John Field show. To some extent, he's had more race wins than anyone else, yet it's his son, Clint, who's actually leading that championship. But John's been chipping away with that, and is the closest he's been so far this year. Others like Louis Schreiber, Greg Gorski nipping at the heels, Wayne Williams in the thick of things too. Very, very tightly contested. And that's what always amazes me when I start looking down the list, doing the commentary. There's so many names that could genuinely win it each weekend. But, you know, you mentioned the young guns, of course, the Clint and John Field have got Le Mans Series experience. They're American Le Mans Series champions. And up against the likes of Chip Roma, who's got SCCA runoff championships to his name. So lots and lots of tough competition there. In the Pro 1500 class, we've seen just a staggering number of performances from guys that are looking to make a mark in the sport. Of course, early on, it's been Jordan Missick, who's had now 2 Indy Next starts this season alongside his Radical Cup program. He was really the guy that started in the box seat in the championship, all this while being pushed along by his teammate Nick D'Orlando. That all changed this weekend with D'Orlando taking over the lead in the championship points.
We had Evan Slater show up with his first win, right? Is that correct?
And then, not only Evan Slater win once, not twice, but 3 times this weekend, solidifying his 3rd place in the championship at the moment. But as you mentioned, lots of races to come. Anything can happen, and you know how tight it is. Pro 1340, your finally back on top of the championship table. But it has been a lot of work.
It has been a lot of work.
Obviously, a few miscues, a few penalties, and at the same time, Suelio Almeida coming to grips with real-world racing. All of a sudden, at the start of this weekend, he was in the lead of the championship. So you've managed to claw back this weekend. But the likes of Blake McGovern and other guys stepping it up. I think it's Ben Blander that's now third in the championship.
Yeah, it's been an amazing season, and I think with the 3 different classes going into Toronto and Sonoma, this literally all 3 classes probably are not going to just come down to the last weekend. They very well could come down to the last race in Sonoma.
Well, amazingly, that's happened so many times throughout the history of the Radical Cup. In fact, the last time we were at Sonoma, it came down to Austin Riley and Mike Anzaldi vying it out not only for the Pro 1340 Championship, but for that outright title. And that's kind of a fun thing that we do in this series, a little bit unique perhaps to Radical Cup, is that you guys aren't just fighting for a class championship. The points are tallied, and we also look at the number of drivers each weekend that's participating in each of the classes, and the starters' points, or the number of cars that start each race, tally up as well. And so at the moment, whilst it's D'Orlando that's leading that outright championship, it could very well be that McMurray or someone else gets into the lead of that outright championship as well, particularly if we see an influx of 1340 drivers at Sonoma, which we may well do given the large contingent out in Arizona.
I'll start recruiting right away. So, hey, I want to talk about one guy in particular, which is in the 1500 class, where we have it divided up into, I'm not sure how we call it, but we've got a gold class.
Correct.
Right? Which is guys who are older than 30. And one of the guys who is really interesting and has been very rapid at times is Jack Yang.
Unbelievable season for Jack, and I've been following his motorsport in my previous role with Radical as a global motorsport director, also in the UK. And Jack's a guy that switches from both series, both the Haggerty Radical Cup in the UK and also the Radical Cup North America program. And Jack's just come alive. I mean, here's a guy that, again, came to motorsport later in life, has been utilising the services of a coach, which I always think is one of these things I wish I'd had in my racing career as a young kid, but has just chipped away at it. And again, seeing his progression over the last 12 months, but in particular this year, phenomenal. To come away with an outright win at Road America against the likes of D'Orlando, Missig and Slater is no mean feat.
It was amazing.
And I certainly think raised a few eyebrows and just proved the point. You know, if you do have a little bit of grey hair or you're just a little bit older, there's nothing stopping you, and that's what I love about motorsport. You know, it's definitely colour blind, age blind and sex blind. You know, it doesn't matter who you are or your background. It's just down to the grit between your teeth, putting things together, and extracting the most out of these great machines.
So, in closing, if somebody out there is interested in giving this a try, what's your recommendation as to their first step? What should they do?
Well, the great thing about these cars, of course, is that you can use them not only at a national level competition like this, but you can start at a grassroots level and back at the country club or indeed at the track day. So the best thing is just to get on to radicalmotorsport.com, look up who the local dealer is, reach out to them, organise a test drive. I think everyone that jumps into these cars will be amazed at the instant performance, again, the instant comfort level, and then just start working away at your motorsport program. Of course, the first step is some local level competition, whether that's in NASA, SCCA, or at one of the great country clubs around the nation. And then you can step on up to the national level in the Radical Cup North America. Or, of course, come and race the world, and we'll be at the World Finals in a few months' time at Yas Marina over in Abu Dhabi. That's going to be wild. We've had now 2 fantastic World Finals, one in Las Vegas and another one in Portimao, and it's great to see the Australians, the guys from the Middle East, from all throughout Europe, the UK of course, culminate in a big World Finals for bragging rights. And I'm pleased to say that the Americans have done us proud, and we're looking forward to hopefully representing well again this year.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting times at Radical. I can't think, as you were talking, Tom, I was trying to think of another series that is as affordable as Radicals and as global as Radicals, and I just don't think it actually exists. So, hey, if you're looking for a way to get into racing, I've done Asian Le Mans, American Le Mans, I've done all kinds of different racing, and this has turned out to be a really wonderful experience, and I encourage everybody who's interested in doing it to give it a try. It's really, really, really awesome. Congratulations.
Well, likewise,
well done.
And look forward to just seeing more people join the series, averaging grids of over 30 cars this year. It just continues to build year after year, and I can't wait to see how these championships play out and see whether young Swelio can get it over the old guy here, Chris McMurray.
Yep.
We'll wait and see.
I'll be grumpy in Sonoma, that I can assure him.
Well, good luck, Chris, for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much, Tom.